Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to do yet another interview here in the Vitality Hub. We're always looking for opportunities to share with people how we can grow in our lives, improve our relationships, experience more health and vitality and vibrancy. And so every single week, we're going to be bringing new people to share their expertise with me, and you get to be a part of it. But I'm really looking for an opportunity within myself to learn and to grow and to gain insights on how I can just live a happier, healthier, more vibrant life. And this week, we're going to have Daniella Rudoff, who is an expert in marriage and dating and relationships. And this is what she does. And considering I have so much work to do in my marriage and in my relationships, I'm really excited to bring her on. So without further ado, here she is. Hi, Daniella. It's great to have you here with us.
Hi, Chana. So nice to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So along the way, if people have questions, they can put them in the comments and I'll be able to share them with you. And I was wondering if you could just tell us your story. Like, were you like born a matchmaker? Is that something you were doing since you were playing Barbie? Like, how did that happen for you?
Not at all. I never, ever predicted it. So what happened was I always had a chalkboard in my room and I thought I was going to be a teacher, and I became a teacher. I have my bachelor's and master's in Jewish education from Yeshiva University in New York. And I loved it. I taught for 10 years in the States. And when we moved to Israel 15 years ago today.
Wow, congratulations.
We loved living in America, don't get me wrong, but it's also amazing to live in Israel. And I didn't know what I was going to do here. I knew I did not want to go back in the classroom, just needed a change. And two of my sisters-in-law were telling me to teach brides, before they get married. And I was thinking maybe I should, what should I do? I wasn't really so into the idea. And then one day I said, you know what? I said to my husband, I'm going to look for a program to teach brides. And sure enough, I turn on my email, my computer, in my email inbox, it says, this program for teaching brides from Yeshiva University, where I went to school. So of course I paid attention to it. And I clicked on it thinking that's going to be in Manhattan. It was actually in Jerusalem. So I started a program that week, and I thought it was going to only be about that. But there was such an amazing curriculum, which I didn't even expect. I expected one course. There was a whole curriculum about marriage education. And I ended up getting a certificate in marriage education. And mid-year, I realized I can't just teach the bride. I have to teach the couple. I want to make sure that, I looked around me, like not in that place where I was sitting, but in life, in the world, what's up? Why are so many people dealing with frustrated marriages, with, unfortunately, divorce, God forbid, or whatever it is that they need it, then they need it. But my point was, why can't we keep those dating couples to be happy married couples? So that was my little brainchild at that time. Not that I'm not the only one, but like that was for me, like, wow, I got to do this. And I'm an educator. So to me, this was like something that I could do. And to give positive education, that's something that I feel that I'm good at. And so I learned more there. And then I took it to the next level, and I went for more relationship building skills courses. And I became a marriage educator and became what I call marriage architect. So notice how this has nothing to do with matchmaking, right? So I started teaching couples, and it continues to be really amazing. Giving perspective and attitudes besides the basic skills, but giving the perspective and giving the attitudes to have an awesome marriage. And so
I'm so curious, where did this word architect, like, how did that come up for you?
When I was looking for a logo, so I was sitting with the graphic designer, because to me, it's really important that whatever I'm doing in life, that I'm professional. Okay. So like to me, like that I got my certificates, that I have my degrees, and, obviously, thank God I have my own experience in my life. I felt like I could be doing this. And I felt like a parent architect, please God, after they're all grown up and they're exactly, the way I want them, whatever, then I can be the parent architect, but like for right now, thank God I feel like I could do this. It's really because my husband's the marriage architect, So I came up with this idea because I said I'm designing marriages. Like the whole goal is that I'm helping this couple have strong foundations. So I'm their architect. I'm helping them design their marriage, their home. So that's how it came up. And so it's interesting because it also is interpreted by other people as matchmaking, which I totally did not see.
Ah, okay. I get it.
So I got trained, I got certified, and I started doing this. And about 2 years after that happened, just this person and that person kept coming, and that about 100 people came to meet with me within 9 months. And it was almost like an internship, where I kept meeting with people, everybody for free, and just, why not? Like, it was such a nice thing to do. But when it starts to become like you live and breathe everything, I realized it's either doing this and professionalizing it further, like opening up a business in Israel and taking a meeting fee, and because it's so much of your time, you know what I'm saying? And if you're going to dedicate all of your time, you need to formalize it. At least I felt I needed to. So, because also this is also part of relationships with your family. Like, it's not fair to just, spend time with other people if my time with them is jeopardized, right? It's at risk. So if at least something bringing in for the family, then they feel good about it, and understand it. So, it was a learning experience developing it, and I love it. So it's something I did not expect, matchmaking part of it. But what I love and I feel really strongly about is that I'm bringing education and mentoring into the setting up and dating process, so that couples who date through me, they don't feel the stress or the pressure, and that that I understand what a good marriage is and what a good dating experience looks like, and that I understand that if it's not good for them, then they shouldn't be dating anymore. And if it is good for them, I help encourage or help with skills or help with concepts, so that they develop the marriage or the relationship that I feel is a good relationship. And so it's beautiful. It's so amazing how that all happened, because I'm coming with a foundation that's different than, I'm not saying, I think anyone who sets people up is amazing, right? They're to take their time and to try to do good things for other people. But what I love how I'm doing it is that I'm doing it carefully to make sure that they lead a happy life together, that as individuals, they're happy, and as a couple, they're happy.
So I want to get more into the nitty gritty of that. So one of the things that's really important for me in these interviews is that people who are watching walk away with like really tangible tools that they can use in their everyday life. So kind of keeping that in mind, if you could answer the question, like, what is it that you're looking for when, you're dealing with, a guy and a girl? What are you looking for them to say or be experiencing in their dating that feels like a thumbs up, and what feels like a thumbs down to you?
Okay, so yesterday a couple went out and in New York, because I do this globally, mostly in the US and in Israel, but really anywhere, as long as they either speak Hebrew or English. Those are my two languages. What I'm looking for in their reaction is that they want to go out again, like that they like, wow, that was really nice, I want to go out again. Like that kind of refreshing response. Or I'm not so sure, but I would do it, I would go out again. But if the person is really either repulsed or bored or really not so interested, and the other person is also, then really, I personally don't feel that there's so much a point in pushing, where I feel a lot of people push people to go out again instead of trusting their sense of what they consider good for them or not. I personally don't push. Okay. So
you're much more about listening to people, listening to themselves.
Yes. And also, let's say, so they're not going out again because both of them said similar things. And that's fine. They both said to me it was a really good idea. Like the fact that they're meant to have gone out, let's just say. I don't know if they were or not, but like, I feel that it was a good enough idea that it wasn't out of left field. So I don't feel upset about that. Okay, great. They tried. Great. I had another couple that went out 2 days, right before the weekend, and they both said, wow, it was a really great date. We want to go out again. So they're going out on Tuesday. Great. I have a couple of days, whatever, I can keep going on.
But okay, so So I actually have this experience that happened about, gosh, it was like 15 years ago, where a young woman came to my house and she was like kind of looking to me for mentorship about some guy she was dating. I didn't even know who the guy was. And I was like, oh, well, how'd the date go? She's like, I don't know, I was kind of bored. I'm like, bored? She said, but he's such a good guy. I'm like, you were bored. And she said, I think I'm going to go out again. I'm like, okay. And she goes out again. And a week later, I'm like, how'd it go? And you know what she said? You know, I was kind of bored. And I said to her, that's what you said last time. And that was really fascinating because we don't often hear ourselves. So sometimes it's like nice to have somebody on the outside, which is probably what people appreciate about you, is that you're hearing what they're saying and reflecting it back to them.
Correct.
So, but let's say like, okay, I'm some girl and I've gone out with a guy for a few weeks now. And, you know, he's nice and he's cute, but I'm like, I don't really know, like what is it that I should be looking for that makes the foundation for a good relationship?
Well, I would first also want to find out what the guy's thinking, because I usually have a relationship with both of them because I usually meet with each person who I set up. And that's one of the other factors that I'm able to say is different about me, because I usually try to be that person who knows both. And if I see that he's really interested, then I'll be able to understand, because, you know, in textbook sex ed, if a man has to be attracted to his wife, usually it's immediately, you know, that's what we like to say. You know, it could be that some people will be, you know, like I need a second date kind of thing, but I'm more of the perspective that it should be immediate. Obviously, if anybody has anything to message me after, please do. I'm always here to learn. But, you know, and everybody's an individual, so that could be different. But with the education that I got is that it's important that he is. And the woman, it could take time depending on her emotional connection and she might become more physically attracted to the man. Okay. So let's say the boredom could be also a lack of attraction, right? And it could be that she's just not interested in pursuing this relationship. And personally, I don't feel that she has to push and push and push herself, right? Like if she tries, but like a girl who goes out and says to me, or a woman, however you want to say, you know, she says to me, I'm not sure I want to go out again. And so I say, okay, no problem. She says, should I? Well, if you say you're asking me, I would tell you if you have a 1% chance that you might like him again and he wants to go out with you, meaning that it's not that he says no, right? He's in the yes. So, and that's really your question. So what would I tell her? I said, if it's 1% that it might change how you feel about him, then go out again. That's because you're asking me. But if you're telling me I don't want to go out again, fine, then don't go out again, right? So like if you're allowing yourself to like the person more, then it could work, right? But if you're repulsed by the person or you're really you know, then whatever, it's the person's gut, how they're feeling. I know people who are happily married now who didn't want to go on a second date, and they did, and now they're married with 8 kids and really happily married. So I like to get that in before I set the person up, like in a conversation when I'm meeting with them, to explain this concept that it is possible that even after a first date that a person can become more attracted. Okay, so I kind of am bringing both perspectives to the couple, because I also remember dating and I didn't want to go out with some people again, you know, it just was not what I want. I knew I couldn't see myself with that person. So I'm coming with both angles. And I think people like that because it takes away the stress, you know, from them feeling like they're pressured to go out again. I think that that's really important when setting people up, is to listen to them, to listen to how they're feeling, but give them education at the same time. Does that answer the question?
Sort of. Like you've got this guy, he's really attracted. Let's say the girl is also attracted and she finds him interesting and she likes being with him. But like what are the real, I don't know, nuts and bolts of what's going to make for a really good marriage?
Okay, so that's a different thing.
What have you seen? What are the relationship patterns? Yeah.
So I definitely have had at least one couple I'm thinking of right now who have had that, they're happily married. And it was that they couldn't see that their religious level was the same. And I saw that they was like identical in my head. So it's like, she didn't see it, but I saw it. So I didn't see anything, you know, I was more like looking at it from I was trying to be as objective as possible to make her, allow her to make her own decisions. But it turned out that, I more or less gave her the out. I said, so then just break up with him, like, fine. Like, if you don't see and you're not comfortable, then, and she's like, no. I want to continue, Okay, fine. So just go on another date. Like, just see, if you're up for another date. And that went on for like quite some time. And she just started to see it more, and she started to feel more comfortable, and she started to understand. But that was because she chose to. I feel like that was her own choice, the way I handled that. Like, I could see that would be stressful if someone said, look, you see, you're the same, and they don't see it. That's different. It
feels like pressure.
At least that's what I think. So I feel that it's a matter of giving people. I have a couple dating right now in the States. It's amazing. And like during Corona, they met on video, did not see each other for 3 months because of Corona.
Wow.
And they dated almost every single night. That was their choice. And then they finally met in person, and they're still dating. So they just sent me a picture like a week ago of the two of them, like they're still seriously dating. And it's just so exciting because she would have never gone on date number 2 if she didn't have the Zoom situation.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and we were speaking every single day during Corona. Basically, I do like WhatsApp video chats. She is a VIP client for me, so that means the daily messaging. And she thoroughly would ask like lots of questions, and I'd answer lots of questions. Like her questions. There were lots of questions about dealing with a person that wasn't exactly who she thought she would marry. I didn't set it up, but she's my VIP client. But she said because she was my VIP client, then she was able to discuss constantly what she was thinking and and asked for my perspective on things, etc. So it was so divine how that happened. She said, that I was put in her life exactly at that moment, or that she put me in her life exactly at that moment. And then like 2 weeks later, she said, do you mind if someone else sets me up? I'm like, sure. Like I was searching for her and networking for her. That's part of the VIP, this daily messaging and that. But it was so incredible how I saw that it was incredible that I was there for her. But she writes me these amazing notes, how it was interesting for her to see things differently because of the way, of the mentorship, I guess is the word. So how do you see? I think it's a matter of the person seeing for themselves as well. It's like giving a certain kind of perspective if they need it. Not everybody needs that different perspective, but some people need it. And then they see how it's really chemistry. To answer the question, it's really chemistry and how you feel. Like she really liked him. So it's a matter of seeing. So I'm really into that. I'm really into the couples liking each other.
Isn't that kind of basic though? Like, shouldn't people just like each other? Like, isn't that kind of like at the bottom of like a basic?
Yeah, but I don't think people know what liking somebody means sometimes, because I feel like sometimes that they feel like it could work and they're waiting for it to happen, for it to work. But what does that mean? It means that they have to really like them. So they're like kind of apprehensive. Let's push myself a little bit more to make this work. Let me push myself a little bit more. But why? Why should you be pushing yourself? I mean, I know people might be up in arms with that comment that I'm saying, but to me, I'm very against that. Again, unless the couple is married and then we're trying to make things work out, that's a whole different category. But I feel like before the marriage, why shouldn't the couple like each other a lot? Like, let them.
Okay, so let's say we've got a couple. The guy likes the girl a lot. The girl likes the guy a lot. What would be things in the relationship that for you would be red flags for the future in marriage? Like that you would say, oh, wow, I'm really concerned about this match, even though they really like each other. Because I know a lot of people who really, really liked each other and they're no longer married. So I'm like curious to know, like, what is it that you look for during dating and then early in the marriage, and what tips do you have for all of us that we can apply?
I think an example that I've seen with a couple dating and then they no longer are dating is where, in this case, it was the guy who didn't make space in his life for the girl. For example, if he was on a certain diet, let's say, and it wasn't their usual diet, like an all vegetable diet. And when she came over, he just, brought the vegetables and nothing else. Like not making space and thinking what might be good for her. And that's an example. It's a kind of a concept, I think, more, like thinking about the other person and what's good for the other person. In fact, I think that actually is a segue into what I think is the bigger issue in couples, in marriages. And like, where if you want to be treated like a queen in the couple, that means I'm treating him like a king because I want to, not because I have to, right? And what does that mean, like a king and like a queen? It's just a concept. It's like royalty. It's wanting to give him the best or wanting to give her the best. And thinking constantly, I call it, what can I do for you, couple? So if you don't see that in the dating, then it's already, to me, a red flag. If they're not, making space in their schedule, if they're not making, time to meet, even though it's hard, or saying, I'm sorry, I want to meet, and I have back-to-back meetings, but I'm telling you, I want to meet with you. So let's schedule in a time, and then work it out to show how much I care, to show how much I want it, at least, right? So you might be stressed up to the zoo for work. You might be stressed because of whatever else is happening in your life, but showing and speaking and expressing to the other person how much you care and want to treat them like a, king or queen, whatever it is, opening the door. I know that's like way, like think about that
I love
anymore.
when people open the door.
My husband still opens the car door for me every single time I go into the car. So
Wow.
it really is special, because now some people will write that off. I don't want them to. Okay, fine. I'm not going to talk about those people, but I'm talking about what some people want that. Some people, are more old fashioned in that way. And then sometimes it's not about opening the car door. It could be, making the bed in the morning when they're married, that somebody else, that they're always doing it. And the other person says, thank you. It's not this that the person is doing it, but how they appreciate each other and are grateful in their lives to be together. I think it's the concept. There are so many concepts I'm bringing up here, but I feel like the what can I do for you marriage is what I dub it, because it's the attitude, it's the attitude of not what can you do for me, right? So if you're both learning, what can I do for you? You're both getting.
So what happens if you have two people who kind of focus on what can you do for me? How do you coach them through that to shift into this, what can I do for you?
It's a good question. I feel that I have so many ways of going into this, but there was a teacher I had in my master's program, and it's just glaring at me right now in a beautiful way, actually, where it's like shining at me, I should say, is when you think about a word and it's hard for you to educate somebody about this word, go look at the opposite. So the opposite of love could be hate. The opposite of love could be not caring or whatever it is. So, or, then you could start looking at other opposites that might meet that place, like, lonely, sad. Remember that I started with marriage education, and you heard my, how I got there. But being involved with dating and meeting each person and hearing how much they want to get married also gives me a lot of perspective and my daily life about how grateful I am to be married to my husband, because he's so amazing, thank God, right? So what it is realizing this person wants what I want to give them. I want them to have that. That's why I went into this field, right? So how do you coach them into it? Is by showing them, if you want to get from the opposite of lonely and sad, then you need to go to love and giving, because the source of love is giving, right? And I need to go to the opposite. I want to give more and be grateful that I have you. And I want to, always treat you well, because I don't want to be the other way. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to be in the hate mode. I don't want to be in always fighting mode. I want to be in the happy mode. I want to be in the, living the best life that I can mode. And we're not always, at that moment in a certain way, because we're tired and we're stressed and we're all the other things, in life, right? But like, I'm a big believer in making the most of what I am in control of, right? There are so many things we're not in control of, and Corona taught us that, right? But I will say, I never thought I was in control. Like anybody who asks me, so are you able, like with my kids, they'll say to me, can you take me to the store? I'll say, I'll try it. I'm hoping I could take you to the store. I'm going to do my best to take you to the store. And,
whether we get there or not, who knows?
Exactly. So it's the same thing in my approach in life, I guess you could say. So it was no big surprise with Corona, even though it was a huge shock to, a shell shock. But I think that's how you coach people, is to look at the big picture. Look at what kind of life you want to live. And it's not just a big picture life. It's now this second creates that big picture. Now this second creates that big picture, right? So it's each moment, it's like training a muscle in your mind of looking at the big picture and wanting that for this second and doing the best I can to be the best I can for today. And I know like the world is tired of trying to be the best, but then you can't have the best.
So I have a question, because you're talking about like giving and focusing on, treating the other person like royalty. I know that there are people who have habituated themselves so much to giving that they're like doormats. Yeah. And my experience is that they're not giving in order to give. They're giving in order to get, is probably the best way I could put it. Like they're giving in order to gain acceptance and love and appreciation, but it's tainted. There's like a quid pro quo. It's kind of dirty. So like, how do you help people differentiate between these two different kinds of giving?
I love that you said that, because I do feel that we're polluted with that today. It's polluted. Our entire social media is polluted by it. That anybody, they says, oh, but you don't know my marriage, or you're no, you can't, explain that. So it's, first of all, that's why I started with engaged couples, because you're able to teach from a foundational level, and I teach the couple. Like I had a father just write to me this week, I want a marriage boot camp for my daughter. She's getting married. And I said, well, I need the couple, because it's not fair to her if I just teach this to her. She'll be that person giving all the time, and he won't understand it. So he needs to get the same education, and otherwise she'll be the doormat. So I agree with you. And I agree with every single person out there who has been trained by the fact that they didn't get the other person educated. Do you understand? It's not their fault. But at the same time, I'm a believer that everyone can be educated, or at least the nice, good, and appreciative people in the world can be educated, who want to be educated. Anybody who wants something can have it. So it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. So how can you kind of pull them away from it is to go to, couples boot camp together to teach. And the couples tell me how grateful they are, because it's a whole attitude. It's a positive attitude in their marriage, not expecting from the other person like anything in a certain way, but always getting, because it's out of love and appreciation and positive. And it's just beautiful, because it becomes a beautiful marriage and beautiful relationship if you're always trying to make the other person happy, even if you're not like able to, like, because you're tired, right? Like I want to emphasize, this is not like optimal every second, but it is an attitude which is always there. So are you reading a question?
No, I'm just posting your links, because I want to give people the opportunity to be able to reach you or follow you if they want help with like their dating or processing or their marriages and whatever it is they're looking for. And if they're looking for someone to like really give them clear advice. Right. And what was the one last thing I wanted to ask you? Yes. Sure. Okay. So what for you in your professional life, at the end of the day, when you look back at your day, you're like, this was a great day? What's like one thing?
I have a lot of things, actually. When I set up a couple and flying, I'm so excited. It takes a lot of, whatever it is. Like I'm working literally around the clock about it. Having an awesome meeting. Like yesterday, somebody introduced me to somebody for Proactive, like to meet a guy. And they said that he's tough, to meet with, like whatever. He's very like a wall, and we had an awesome meeting, and he's has so much more clarity. He's 36 years old. And now he's like, so I explained to him at the beginning of the meeting, this is what I thought, like who you are and looking for. And now I see this. So it's much more understandable what kind of girl I want to set you up with. And he's like, yeah, like now I get it. Like you feel seen. Yeah, and
Amazing.
he has so much more clarity. So if I can give that to people through the way I, have a conversation with them, that's powerful. It's really nice give people the education. With the fact the 14th marriage architect baby was born during Corona time, the 12th, 13th, 14th. Those are amazing days, and also I really enjoy walking the couples through as they're dating, messaging them and having that personal interaction. So I don't know who those people are going to be, like when they walk in the door, I don't know that I'm setting that person up and they're going to be in a relationship and I'm going to be in touch with them all the time. But I do know, let's say with Proactive, which is a VIP service that I started, which is researching and networking for them, which is intense for me because I'm searching and networking for them and meeting people for them. But what I've added to that, which I find really special, getting really nice notes from people who I do Proactive with, is that I'm constantly in touch with them. And like she wrote to me on Friday, you're such a positive influence in my life. And I've a mindset, and there's more to the note, but that's a really wonderful feeling for me where I know that I'm putting in the time. I know that I have a lot to offer, but having somebody feel it and to express that, is really special. It's really amazing. So yeah, and I can keep going. Those are the things.
So as we close, I just want to thank you so much for your time, and I want to send you blessings that you should continue to help people become more connected during Corona, because that's one of the challenges with Corona of creating all of this social distancing. So hopefully you're creating a lot of social undistancing, I don't know, togethering, whatever you call it.
Right.
And that, more and more people should be able to connect to themselves and within their marriages and to find their matches and be able to experience that, the challenge and the beauty that comes with coming together with another human being. So thank you for the work that you do.
Thank you so much, Chana. I really appreciate your blessings, and it's so nice to be here with you today. And good luck to you and best wishes to you and your whole group and everything that you're doing. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Take care.